Welcome back to the Deep Dive. So today we're tackling something pretty much everyone thinks about at some point, I think, achieving goals.
Yeah,
We all have them, right?
absolutely.
And, you guys have sent us two guides on this topic. One's French, one's English. And it's actually already really interesting to me that they both give very similar advice, but from different cultural angles.
Right.
I think we're going to uncover some pretty unique things about how different cultures view success.
Yeah.
I'm really curious.
Yeah, me too. It's definitely intriguing. And, right off the bat, both guides stress how important it is to define what success actually means to you. Not what, society says, not what your family might expect, but what makes you feel accomplished.
It's so easy to just skip over that part, though, right?
Right, totally.
Because we're bombarded with all these, external definitions of success, like what we should be doing,
Right.
that we can lose sight of what really matters to us as individuals.
Yeah, absolutely. The French guide actually poses this question. What does a successful life look like for me? And it's such a great starting point, for this whole deep dive. What does your successful life look like? Think about it. Close your eyes if you have to. Is it about creative expression or financial freedom? Strong relationships. It's all about that self-reflection, which is, the cornerstone of so many personal development paths.
Okay, so we've painted this picture of success in our minds.
Right.
How do we actually get from daydreaming to reality?
That's where setting SMART goals comes in.
Right.
Both guides really emphasize this idea of transforming vague aspirations into concrete steps.
Yeah.
Things you can actually take action on.
Can you give us an example? I always find it helpful to have something tangible to visualize.
Totally. The French guide uses this great example. So instead of just saying, I want to be rich, which is kind of broad, right?
Yep.
You pinpoint a specific goal, like, I will save $10,000 in the next 12 months. That's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant to your overall desire, and it has a clear time frame.
Okay, I see how that breaks it down into something way more manageable.
Well, exactly. And that time-bound element is crucial. Deadlines, they're like the secret sauce for accountability.
Right.
Without them. It's so easy to just procrastinate and lose that momentum.
Okay, so I have my SMART goals all set, but let's be real for a sec. Staying motivated, that could be tough.
Oh, for sure.
Life gets in the way, distractions pop up.
Absolutely. And both guides get that. That's why they offer a bunch of different techniques to help you stay on track.
Yeah.
One that really stood out to me is this idea of finding your why.
Okay.
It's not enough to just have a goal. You got to understand the deeper reason behind it.
Why is that so important?
Well, think of it like this. Imagine you're running a marathon. You're at mile 20.
Oh, yeah.
Your legs are killing you. Your energy's gone, and all you want to do is quit. But then you remember your why. Maybe you're running for a cause, something close to your heart, or you're proving something to yourself. That why becomes the fuel that keeps you going.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So how do we actually find our why?
It takes some introspection.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, why does this goal really matter to you? Dig deep. What values or beliefs are driving you? What impact will this have on your life or even the lives of other people? When you connect with that deeper meaning, you tap into a wellspring of motivation that's so much stronger than, just fleeting bursts of enthusiasm.
I'm sold on the why thing.
Yeah.
What other techniques do these guides recommend for, staying motivated?
Another one is visualization. They both talk about how beneficial it is to actually imagine yourself achieving your goal.
Oh, I've heard of that for athletes. Does that work for regular people?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When you engage all your senses, picturing yourself crossing that finish line, feeling that sense of accomplishment, hearing the cheers, you're basically tricking your brain into believing it's already possible.
Interesting.
Yeah. It boosts your confidence and primes you for success.
Okay, I've got my why. I'm visualizing success. What else can I do to stay on track?
Both guides highlight how important your environment is. Surround yourself with positivity. That means the people who lift you up, books, podcasts, things that feed your mind.
Yeah.
And a physical space that promotes focus and well-being.
So it's like creating this positive feedback loop almost.
You got it. The more positive influences you have in your life, the easier it is to maintain that momentum, even when things get tough.
Okay, I've got my vision. I'm pumped up.
Yeah.
But I'm also someone who sometimes gets stuck in the planning stage. How do I actually move to area?
Both sources are adamant about this. You have to take that first step, no matter how small it seems.
That's where I get hung up. What if that first step feels insignificant?
The French source has this brilliant idea. They call it 1% progress.
Okay.
It emphasizes that even tiny but consistent actions add up over time.
Hmm.
It's like investing,
Yeah.
Small amounts at first, but with consistency, it grows exponentially.
So even small steps can lead to big results as long as we just keep at it.
That's the key.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's one small action that I as a listener could take today towards a goal?
That's the question you got to ask yourself. Maybe it's writing that first page in your novel, researching a course, or making that phone call you've been putting off.
Mm-hmm.
The point is, break your goal into smaller chunks and take that first step.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
How do we ensure, though, that those small actions become habits,
Right.
not just like one-time things?
Right. That's where building success habits comes in.
I think everyone struggles with that.
Oh, yeah.
What are some practical strategies?
Both guides talk about creating routines, identifying triggers for positive actions, and building systems that make it easier to stay on track.
So it's not just about willpower then. It's
Yeah.
about putting structures in place to support us.
Exactly. Working smarter, not harder.
Okay, so we've got our goals, motivation's high, we're building those positive habits.
Mm-hmm.
But let's be real, the path to success, it's not always smooth sailing, right?
You're telling me. No, you're absolutely right. Challenges are going to come up, and both sources acknowledge that.
Yeah.
They actually emphasize that setbacks aren't failures,
Mm-hmm.
but opportunities to learn and grow.
That's a big perspective shift. We're so used to viewing failure as like a negative thing.
Totally. But what if we saw those setbacks as feedback, helping us refine our approach and become even more resilient?
So it's about developing that grit, that ability to bounce back from the tough stuff and keep going.
Exactly. And it's a skill that can be developed just like any other.
This brings us to another important thing, discipline. I think a lot of people, myself included, struggle with staying disciplined, especially when motivation dips.
Oh, yeah. It's a common struggle.
So is it about showing up consistently, even when you don't feel like it?
That's it. Both sources are really clear on this point.
Mm.
Discipline is what separates those who dream from those who achieve.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The French guide says motivation fades, but discipline keeps you going. Building solid habits and sticking to them, even when it's hard, is essential.
So discipline is like the engine that keeps us moving, even when we run low on the fuel of motivation.
That is a fantastic way to put it. And both guides also emphasize that we don't have to do this alone.
Oh, good.
Having a supportive network, whether it's mentors, friends, family, or even online communities, can be such a game changer.
Just surrounding yourself with people who believe in you.
Yeah. People
Yeah.
who encourage you and hold you accountable. It's
Mm.
like having a built-in cheer squad,
Yeah.
reminding you of your strengths and your why, especially when you need it most.
Makes total sense. And speaking of motivation, the French guide's big on celebrating wins big and small
Yes.
to keep that momentum going. It's like rewarding yourself throughout the process.
Right, and it ties into that whole psychology of positive reinforcement. Small rewards for progress create positive feedback loops,
Mhm. Yeah.
It's like training your brain to associate achieving goals with feeling good.
So it's not just about the destination, it's about enjoying the journey too.
Exactly. Celebrating makes the whole process more enjoyable, more sustainable.
Another point both sources emphasize is never stop learning.
Huge on this, both of them. They highlight reading, taking courses, finding mentors, constantly seeking new knowledge and skills.
So staying curious,
Yes.
adaptable.
Right. Absolutely. World's changing so fast that we have to keep learning to stay relevant.
And lastly, they really drive home this idea of patience and persistence.
Right. They remind us that success almost never happens overnight. It takes time, effort, and the willingness to keep going, even when you don't see results immediately. The French source puts it beautifully. Remember, great things take time.
Mm-hmm. It is so important to remember that we live in a culture that's obsessed with instant gratification.
That's true.
But the kind of success that really matters,
Ethics.
the kind that fulfills you, it takes time. It's the long game.
It is. So, to recap what we've talked about in this first part of our deep dive, achieving your goals starts with defining what success means to you. Then it's about setting those clear, actionable goals, finding your why, and building supportive habits and that all-important discipline to keep you moving forward.
And remembering that setbacks are inevitable,
Yeah.
but they're also valuable opportunities for learning.
Absolutely. It's about embracing the whole journey with all its ups and downs, knowing that as long as you keep learning and growing and persisting, you will achieve those dreams.
That's a fantastic point to end on. Now, before we move on to part 2 of our deep dive,
Yeah.
we want to leave you with something to think about.
Okay.
Both of these guides seem to focus on individual goals.
Right.
But what if you're working as part of a team or a larger group?
Mm-hmm.
How does that change things? How do you balance individual aspirations with collective goals?
Interesting question.
We'll explore that and much more when we come back for part 2 of our deep dive into achieving your goals.
Welcome back to part 2 of our deep dive into achieving those goals. We covered a lot of ground in the first part, from defining your vision of success to setting those SMART goals and building some positive habits. But there's still so much more to uncover.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to dive a little deeper into some of the more nuanced parts of these guides,
Yeah.
especially the differences between the French and the English perspectives.
Yeah, one thing that really stood out to me while we were prepping for this was how much the French guide emphasizes discipline and that consistent effort, almost like it's the foundation for all the other strategies.
It's interesting, right? It's like this underlying belief that, yeah, motivation might come and go,
Right.
but discipline, that's what gets you to the finish line.
Yeah, they're big on cultivating those daily habits
Yeah.
that over time lead to, amazing results, no matter how you're feeling on any given day.
It's like that saying, motivation gets you started, but habit keeps you going.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
like building that muscle of self-discipline. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets.
Totally. Great analogy. And that's where routine comes in.
Okay.
Both guides talk about establishing routines that support your goals,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's waking up early to work out or dedicating time each day for focused work,
Right.
or even just like a relaxing evening routine.
Yeah.
Routines give you that structure,
Mm-hmm.
make it easier to stay on track when life gets crazy.
It's like having those mental guardrails
Yeah.
that keep you moving in the right direction, even when you're tempted to veer off course.
Exactly. And what's interesting is that the English guide seems to lean a bit more into the psychology of it all. It delves into visualization and positive self-talk, the
Yeah.
importance of belief.
That reminds me of the whole mindset thing
Yeah.
that's so popular now.
Yeah, both sources touch on it, but the English one really emphasizes how much our thoughts and beliefs can either help or hinder us.
Yeah, for sure. Our mindset plays a huge role in how we deal with challenges and setbacks. If we believe we can succeed, we're more likely to keep going when things get tough.
Right.
But if we're always doubting ourselves, focusing on the negative, it's like setting ourselves up for failure.
It's that Henry Ford quote, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yes, love that one. It's so true, though.
It is, yeah.
Our beliefs really shape our reality. So nurturing that positive, growth-oriented mindset, that's key.
It's not just about positive thoughts. It's about believing in your ability to learn and grow and overcome obstacles.
Speaking of obstacles, one theme that really resonated with me from both guides is the importance of having a clear why.
Yes. They both emphasize that it's not enough to just have the goal.
Right.
You need a deeper reason that gives it meaning.
Yeah, and purpose.
Exactly.
It's that why that fuels us, right?
Yeah.
Especially when we hit those roadblocks.
Absolutely. It becomes like your North Star,
Yeah.
guiding you through those challenging times.
Yeah.
Reminding you why you started in the first place.
Can you give us an example of how that why might play out in real life?
Sure. Imagine you're trying to lose weight. It's easy to get discouraged, hit a plateau, or have a day where you slip up.
Right.
But if you connect back to your why, if you remind yourself that you're doing this to improve your health, to have more energy, to play with your kids, or to feel more confident, that reason will give you the strength to get back on track.
So it's about connecting with those deeper values and motivations.
Yeah, that go beyond the surface level.
Okay.
And that's where visualization comes in, which both guides recommend.
Yeah.
The English guide especially really highlights the power of vividly imagining yourself achieving that goal.
Like those Olympic athletes who
Exactly.
use visualization to improve their performance.
They mentally rehearse, which helps them perform better for real.
It's amazing how powerful the mind can be in shaping our reality.
It really is. And it works for any goal.
Yeah.
When we visualize ourselves succeeding, we're kind of programming our brains for success.
Right.
Creating that blueprint that guides our actions and keeps us focused.
So we've talked about discipline, mindset, the importance of that, why. What other insights resonated with you?
One thing that stood out was the emphasis on embracing failure.
Okay.
Both sources say setbacks are inevitable.
Right.
And it's how we respond to those setbacks that truly
It's
matters.
about developing that resilience, that ability to bounce back even stronger.
Exactly. Instead of seeing failure as a weakness or a reason to give up, we need to view it as an opportunity to learn and grow.
It's like that Thomas Edison quote, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work."
Yes. It's about reframing our perspective on what it means to fail.
Yeah.
It's about having that growth mindset where challenges are seen as chances to learn, not threats to our ego.
And that brings us to another important element, adaptability.
Yes,
Both guides acknowledge that life is unpredictable
for sure.
and things don't always go as planned.
Right. So being able to adapt and adjust becomes crucial.
Yeah.
It's about having that flexible mindset, being open to new possibilities, being willing to change course if something isn't working.
So it's not about setting a strict plan and sticking to it no matter what.
Nope.
It's more about going with the flow and adjusting as needed.
Exactly. It's about being responsive to feedback
Okay.
and being willing to make changes along the way.
So we've covered a lot in this second part of our deep dive. We've talked about the importance of discipline, mindset, embracing those failures, and the power of being adaptable.
Yeah. And before we move on to the final part, any concluding thoughts on what we've discussed so far?
I think it's important to remember that achieving goals is a journey,
Yes.
not a destination.
It's about consistently putting in the effort, learning as you go, and celebrating those victories.
Yeah, it's about embracing the whole process, all the ups and downs, knowing that every step, even the tiny ones, is getting us closer to our vision.
Absolutely. And we'll be back in part 3 to explore some more advanced strategies and insights to help you on that journey, so stay tuned.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into achieving goals. We've covered so much, from defining success to setting those SMART goals, building resilience, those positive habits.
Yeah, it's been a journey. And as we wrap up, I think it's important to really highlight a few key takeaways that can make a real difference, as you actually start putting all this into practice.
Absolutely. One thing that stood out to me from both guides was this idea of surrounding yourself with those positive influences.
Yes.
And seeking support when you need it.
That is so crucial. And I think it often gets overlooked.
Yeah.
We tend to focus so much on individual effort, but the truth is we don't have to go it alone.
Right.
Having that support network, whether it's mentors, friends, family, even online communities, can provide so much encouragement, guidance, accountability.
It's like having that cheerleading squad in your corner.
Yeah.
Reminding you how awesome you are.
Yeah.
Pushing you to keep going when you hit those roadblocks.
Exactly. And it's not just about having people to cheer you on. It's also about surrounding yourself with positivity in all areas of your life. The books you read, the podcasts you listen to, the people you spend time with.
Right.
The more you expose yourself to that positive, growth-oriented stuff, the more likely you are to adopt those mindsets and behaviors yourself.
It's like that saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So choose wisely.
Yes. Be intentional about who you let into your inner circle and the information you let into your mind. Make sure they align with your goals, your values, and they contribute to your well-being.
Another key takeaway that I found really powerful was this emphasis on celebrating wins, both big and small.
Oh, it's so important.
The French guide really highlighted this.
Yeah.
Reminding us to acknowledge our progress and give ourselves those little rewards along the way.
Celebrating those wins, it keeps us motivated and engaged in the process.
Right.
It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and forget to look back at how far we've come.
Yeah.
But taking time to celebrate those milestones, no matter how small, it reinforces those positive feelings associated with achieving your goals.
It's like giving yourself those little pats on the back.
Yeah.
Hey, you're doing great. Keep it up.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be anything big. It could be as simple as taking a break to do something you enjoy, treating yourself to a nice meal, sharing your accomplishment with someone who cares.
Yeah.
The point is to acknowledge your progress and give yourself that positive boost.
Okay, before we wrap up completely, we have to talk about one more thing. Patience and persistence.
Yes, absolutely crucial.
Both guides really emphasize this.
Yes.
Success takes time.
Yeah.
It's not always a straight line.
Right. There will be setbacks, challenges, moments when you want to give up.
Totally.
That's when you got to remember your why.
Yeah.
Lean on that support system we talked about.
Right.
And just keep going one step at a time.
Trust the process.
Trust it.
The French guide had that great quote, remember, great things take time. Such a powerful reminder because we live in a world that wants everything instantly.
Right. Instant gratification.
But achieving those meaningful goals takes time.
It's a long game.
It is. So as we wrap up this whole deep dive into achieving your goals, we want to leave you with this. It's not about perfection. It's about progress.
Hmm.
It's about showing up every day, doing your best, learning from those missteps, and
Mhm.
celebrating the wins along the way.
You have the power to create the life you want. It starts with the vision, taking action, and believing in yourself.
Thanks for joining us. We hope this has inspired you to take that next step towards those dreams you've been holding on to.
Remember, the journey is just as important as the destination.
Mm.
Embrace those challenges, celebrate the wins, and never stop learning.
Until next time,
What he
keep diving deep and keep reaching for those stars.